Okay. So, today's just gonna be like one of those talk things. Well, guess what happened today? Well, it wasn't today, but it was bad. It was last Monday. Not like last week's Monday, like this week's Monday. And, So, the social studies project was kind of a flop for me. Wanna know why? It's because of the rest of my team. Like, they did work their butt off on it, and I could barely do any of the work because I had other things going on and I had to do them before I could get to the project. But, like, because I was doing other stuff before I could get to the project, that meant that I, couldn't really do any of the research. So, me and this one guy had to pair up on a question. The question was, how does the knowledge of the basics of the question was, how do the people of sub-Saharan Africa use the physical geography of use the knowledge of the physical geography of the land to benefit their survival? That's basically what it was. And I, not doing any of the research on it, wrote an entire paragraph that sounded like that made a logical answer that sounded pretty correct. The answer, not word for word, was the people of sub-Saharan Africa use this information to find the best hunting spots and best spots to gather resources, reliable ones, such as other foods, hunting grounds, water, rivers and watering holes, and shelter, like a small area of forest or jungle or something like that. And use the resources around them to benefit their survival. That's basically what I said in my paragraph. Although it was a lot more complicated, and it was it was 3 sentences long. Yeah. But my teammates somehow thought, oh, she didn't do the work, oh, no, this can't work out because she never even did any of the research on it, so the entire thing is probably incorrect. So they made the person that I was partnering up with rewrite the entire thing. And he only got 2 sentences in. My 3 sentences wasn't really all that impressive, but they were long, informative sentences, okay? So they counted. And what he put on for a few words of the very last sentence was, humans can survive a month without water. What? He did research on it, okay? And it sounds like as if he made it up. And it ended up in the presentation, and guess how the teacher thought of it? She said, you seriously did research on this? Because it sounds like you made it up. That's what she said. Oh my gosh. Anyways. I basically had the most logical, reasonable, and best answer for that question. And you know what the person that rewrote the entire paragraph was repeatedly saying over and over and over? Answers to a climate question when this was obviously a physical geography question. Seriously, we're not working on climate, we're working on physical geography. Like, seriously. She was asking, like, about food and landscapes and things like that, and what he was giving off was hot or cold or things like that. Things that relate to climate and not frickin' physical geography. Oh, and also, you know, the team leader person that's supposed to keep everyone on track and, you know, make everyone's, like, doing their part, things like that. Well, guess what? Head person, I'm not going to say names, because I don't want to get sued. I'm just going to say this to you. I'm not trying to be mean, but this is truthful. You didn't let me do any of the work. You basically did my job in the presentation, even though I was the Geek Squad. In other words, the person that was supposed to be operating the computer. But no, you just had to do it all yourself because it was on your file. Guess what? Just because it's on your file doesn't mean that you have to do everything. I'm the Geek Squad. I'm supposed to be the person running the computer. Even though I didn't know how to set up a Kahoot. I knew how to do slides, but you didn't even let me set that up. I have one question for you. Why? Why would you make me do that? Why would you not let me work? Like, actually work on the stuff that I was supposed to work on because I was the Geek Squad? Huh? What do I have to say to that? Nothing. That's what I thought. You're probably gonna blow up in the comment section about it. Like saying, oh, well, you didn't do any of the research. Well, guess what? That's only one reason, and that reason isn't good enough because I already had a pretty logical answer in my head. And when I told my mom about this, she said, yeah, that sounds logically correct. And you guys just let my partner do everything. And you didn't even let me talk about some of the stuff just because I didn't do any of the research. I had other things going on. That concludes my rant for this video.